shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love.
I was next. I came in the fall 1959. My name is Herb Haven, and after attending Sacramento State, I came to Folsom mainly because of Dr. Lorridge, who was a brother-in-law of one of my best friends I went to high school with. One thing about the fire, you said something about Highway 50. Yes, Highway 50 went right down beside the school because we had to have portable classrooms, and they built them across the highway. So my classroom was right next to Highway 50 with all the trucks, and we just put a crosswalk there. And
remember the old store?
And it was so noisy you couldn't hear anything. But trucks going back and forth and start. They had to all stop for the kids crossing the street.
Okay, my name's Tom Doherty, and I started as a student in 1957 when it was a junior high school, and I graduated in 1963 from the high school, and then I became the head football coach in 1982 until I retired in 2001. In 89 and 90 we were back-to-back section champions, and what was kind of exciting about that, my son played on those teams. Actually, my son played basketball for Coach Turner here. Actually, I played basketball in high school for Coach Turner. So that's going back a while.
I'm Tom Fallon. Moved here and started as a freshman at Folsom High School in 1946. Graduated from Folsom High School in 1950. Came back to teach at Folsom High School in 1978. Taught business classes. Got on this guy's case once in a while, and this guy's case, and all these guys' cases.
My name's Mike Reno, and I used to crawl over the fence to get to the high school probably when I was about 8 or 9, and then I graduated from Folsom in 1966. And then I came back to work here as a teacher in 1974. Oh, I taught physical education and some math.
Didn't you go to
Oh,
Nevada?
baseball, football coach.
His son also played on one of the very, very few Northern California state basketball championships that's ever been won from the greater Sacramento area.
I really feel old today because both Mike and Tom were students when I came to So, Eileen Carroll, I was chair of the physical education department and taught some health and safety, even driver training, remedial English. I was at the school for 36 years and I love Folsom High School. I am Folsom High School. I will be a Bulldog to the day I die.
Tell them what your license plate says.
FHS fan.
And in 1997, we stopped in the parking lot, and I stopped and looked, it was like deja vu. I was looking around and saying, and finally I said, Joe, what is this school? And he said, this is Folsom High School. And so I was looking at the school and I just couldn't believe I'd seen this, and it was vivid in my mind. So I went home, that was a Saturday. I went home, I looked in the paper, which was called EdCal, for jobs. And it said Folsom High had an opening for an assistant principal and I had 3 days to apply. So I applied and got the job.
From 62 to 2011, I taught driver's training on the side.
Wow.
And I can remember my take-home salary the first year of teaching when you were at Folsom High, $370 a month clear. In the following year, I went down to $305 when I went on a 12-month schedule.
Coach Turner was my basketball coach in high school, and he was my driver's training teacher in high school. I haven't had an accident ever, and I get a ticket every 20 years, so it's pretty good.
Let's see, I started in 1962. I was an English teacher. We needed some new dictionaries. I went down to the bookstore and looked around and they got a hold of this sales guy and he told me what a great book this was. And he opened up, had lots of illustrations, and it's a wonderful thing. And I didn't stop to consider the language that was in that book. So anyway, I went with his recommendation and we bought the books.
Hundreds of them, right?
Yeah, hundreds of them.
And put the numbers on.
So I came to Folsom High in 1972, and I'm Liz Curtis, and I taught Spanish 1, 2, and 3, and French 1, 2, and 3. But I have one story about a girl that came back in the following year after she graduated. And she said, well, Mrs. Curtis, she says, you're a little bit responsible for the fact that my college roommate gets frustrated with me sometimes. And I'm like, what? And she said, yes, because now I won't listen to the radio in English anymore.
I'm Fred Knowles. I got to Folsom High in '73, and as a just beginning coach, I stumbled into a phenomenal group of freshman athletes. I started playing, coaching freshman football, and you know, when you think freshman, you don't really think of a whole lot in terms of athletic ability. These guys were amazing. Undefeated season, hardly had anything to do with me. It was an incredible group of kids.
The jazz choir, you know, we went and recruited somebody like McGee, somebody that was a cool athlete, you know, that all the girls liked or whatever. You know? Yeah, and then we had this nucleus of people in there that was like, wow, I want to get in that group because, you know, such and such is in there.
I'm Bill Maffei. I came in 1977 and I left mid-1985. The thing that I remember most about Folsom High School, in addition to this wonderful staff that I worked with, were the kids. The kids were just phenomenal. I just remembered lunchtime. We would sit in the cafeteria and we would solve the problems of the world in about, what, 30 minutes? And we'd go back to school, and all the kids would look at us. It wasn't that we were in a different room. We were right there with the kids.
I'm Jim Moore, and I came to Folsom High in 1969 after teaching for 3 years in a small little community in Northern California, McLeod, California. I was hired then to teach special education, which I had absolutely no knowledge of whatsoever. I identify with swimming, I identify with other experiences here. I had not a clue what I was getting into. Taught for 28 years, for the most part, other than the special ed in social science, and used to enjoy doing historical characters. I shaved the beard off and grew the mustache out a little bit longer and did Teddy Roosevelt, and which was probably my favorite character. And then I finally decided to take a big risk and shaved the mustache off all the way down to here and did Adolf Hitler. I used members of the, I always looked to Tom for help with that, finding the biggest Aryan-looking football players he had to be a part of that group. And basically used to scare the heck out of all the kids because they didn't know what was going on. They'd come in and sit down in the room. They thought they were going to have a chance to interview Adolf Hitler. And all of a sudden it turned into this Nazi propaganda camp. And I would just point at somebody and say, there's a Jew, there's a Jew. And the kids would go over and grab them and take them outside of the class. And then somebody would make a big loud noise outside of the room like they'd been shot. I got some Holocaust survivors to actually come in and talk to the kids on the last day of this week-long program. And I will tell you, it had some incredible dramatic effect to actually have someone come in and talk to them about the reality of what it was like to be in Auschwitz and other places. But one thing I think you'll get as you go through all of this is that once you're a bulldog, you are always a bulldog. Everybody in this room is a bulldog. And it doesn't matter what happens or where we go, and that's something that will always be, it's right inside of you. It never goes away.